Welcome to the Redemption Podcast Show. I'm U.S. Army veteran and Poetic Human John Krotec.
And I am a former professional fighter, the champion soul, Jason Freebird Freeman. In a sincere effort to help others and to set some records straight, we share our personal stories and scripture and offer real solutions to overcoming the challenges of life.
We appreciate you being here. And remember, the truth
shall set you free.
Welcome back to another episode of the Redemption Podcast Show. This week, or on this episode, we're going to talk about victimhood. And, it's everywhere, and victimhood. And what is a victim, and how do you become a victim? What's the root cause of it? How to stop being a victim? And then we'll share a few Bible verses on what the Bible. Anytime we mention scriptures, it tweaks people's nerves. And I'm not sure if it's just because it's the Bible or what it is. Maybe it's just
it's a conviction. Anytime I don't want to pick the Bible up, I feel, or when I do go to pick it up, John, there's times where it's been a week and I haven't touched it, and it's sitting right. I got two of them, and I put them out on purpose so that I've got to pick it back up, even though sometimes in life we don't feel that we should be as close to God as He's reaching out for us. We're not reaching back out for Him because you just feel convicted.
Well, a couple of things, people's relationships with God and their definition of God. Let's just go back to the foundation. It's personal. Yep. That relationship is personal. Now, there are religions, there are doctrines, there's all of these different things that have branched out and changed and morphed over time. But the reality, I believe, is that there is an absolute truth. Explain it like this. There's an elephant in a room, and everybody that goes in there is blindfolded. Before they go in, they're told there's an elephant in there. Elephant, right? So they're blindfolded. They go in, somebody grabs a tail, somebody grabs a tusk, somebody grabs the trunk, the belly, the ear. And so they all have this different perception of what an elephant is. And whether they want, so an elephant's a big flappy ear. Okay. An elephant is a sharp, pointy tusk. Okay. They're both different descriptions.
All the different descriptions of the elephant. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, and that's what I think happens to the truth. And there is a truth. You're a man, you're a woman, right? You can't deny it. There's an obvious truth. And we're going to ruffle feathers by the nature of humans anyways, but yes. Just because you say
is where it is,
I have this appendage and I'm a woman, doesn't make it so. And that's not what this episode's about. It's about victimhood, which actually, it appears, if you look at news cycles and you watch shows, and it appears that that victimhood has become the new pathogen of the human race. Maybe it's always been here, but everybody seems to be a victim. So why?
Yes.
Researchers, psychologists, experts in the field of victimhood say that the core of a victim mentality, it's rooted in trauma, something that's happened to them, emotional distress and pain. And what happens when you experience this pain and this emotional distress and this trauma at the hands of another? You learn that you believe that you're helpless, and nothing that you do in the future will ever make a difference, right? So why not just victimize ourselves and blame all of our troubles on others, and never take responsibility, and feel sorry for ourselves, and so-and-so's got a 4-story house and 15 acres and a BMW and a Lamborghini, and oh my God, I don't have any of that. Woe is me.
Woe is me.
maybe the person took responsibility for their life, and maybe they decide to work their tails off and earn a profession and not blame any of their emotional distress on others. Who knows? But that's where we're at. So let's look at that, what we can do to stop being a victim, and hear what the Bible says about it, what some of the scriptures might say about it. And one that comes to mind right off the bat is James 1, 2, and 3. Don't become a victim of your circumstances. Do something about it. Accept
Yeah,
responsibility. That's one. So when we victimize ourselves, when we become woe is me, we blame all of our troubles on somebody else. And you, of all people, your grandfather was who he was, one of the most notorious cult figures in the annals of American history and crime.
yeah,
And then then you lost your father, your real blood father, through suicide. If anybody could become a victim, it's you. And you were going down that road, and you found yourself in jail.
yeah, yeah. Victimhood can easily be a sense of just not feeling complete, um, missing things in your life. And whenever we start pointing that finger at other people and other situations, but not see the positive limelight that comes from situations, then we are going to be stuck with looking at what we come through as who we are, and it's not who we have to continue to be. We don't have to walk in that victimhood mentality because we're still carrying scars from yesterday. I'm sorry, but look, we all got scars, and we're all in this same boat together, no matter who you are or where you're at. If you're living on the streets or if you're in a high-rise hotel, um, we still we still can carry that victimhood mentality no matter what level you're on. You know that, John.
Been there, done that. And so, so let's think about the long-term effects of victimhood and why we see so much anger.
Mm.
Oh, anger. Yeah, anger is one of the symptoms of victimhood.
Ooh.
And frustration and irresponsibility and finger pointing and depression and all of these things.
No repercussions for your actions because you're a victim. That's what you believe. That's what
And lack of
people
consequences.
believe.
And even today, in the way the world's set up today, and I've often wondered why it's this way, but people are being rewarded for being a victim or showing behaviors of a victim, and yet if you are responsible and you claim responsibility for your life and you don't blame others, those people are getting silenced. And we've even seen it on some of these social media platforms where the truth, you put something out there that strikes a nerve and somebody somewhere doesn't like it. And what do? They cancel you, they censor you, they ridicule you,
Yep.
they get rid of you because you're saying, I don't want to be a victim. It doesn't have to be this way. And I know that. But when I play victim, I'm like the champion of the world. Look how many victims out there are being glorified.
John,
It's
I shared
insane.
I shared my story one time last year, and I got a comment back. Gentleman said that you haven't lived a hard life. I know people that have lived a hard life. I'm not I'm not coming out trying to compare apples to oranges with anybody else's lifestyle or their traumatic past or just the trauma that they have to carry on the inside each day. We're all built different, but you know as well as I do, there has to be a day where you stand up and you decide to fight back.
Yes, I totally agree with you. So, decide to fight, your program on
Yeah,
jasonfreebirdfreeman.com. And this is a plug, but it's the reality. That's a way you can
Yeah.
start. Um, all I can say is this, and a lot more. But if you're infected with the pathogen of victimhood, if you are just playing your victim role, if you're trying to win this Academy Award, this Oscar, for blaming everybody else and the world on your demise, let me tell you straight up, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. The journey out of victimhood and curing yourself of that mindset, it's not easy. I mean, I can tell you months and months and months of what we call cognitive behavioral therapy helped me to get out of my rabbit hole because, I had been assaulted as a young boy and I've just blamed it subconsciously on everybody. It was never, forgiveness, or it was never about any of that. It was always just, be angry, be frustrated, blame everybody. And, maybe you don't want to exactly say what the cause is, but the behaviors of a victim, I
Behavior,
exhibit them,
the
you know,
actions. Yeah.
yeah. Woe is me, look what the world did to me. Look what he did. And if I can't succeed anything in life, it's because of him. How many
If I
times?
could use that, I could use that. I'd be winning, but I can't. I got to go back to the roots of putting hands to
So
work.
exactly. So there you go. So stop feeling sorry for yourself. Easier said than done. Hint, hint. You know, uh, Take responsibility. Go look at that person in the mirror
Mm,
and tell that person, you know who you are, and tell that person you're done. You're not playing the blame game anymore. You're not going to be fueled with shame and guilt. We've heard all these buzzwords and they've been overused.
yes.
And take responsibility. Show some compassion for the worst enemy in your life, which is you. Show some compassion.
Yeah.
Self forgiveness, self care. Take up a hobby. Every time you start to feel angsty and you want to blame Charlie Manson for the where you're at, go outside, walk in the woods, punch a bag, do
Yes.
whatever. You know,
Yep. John, there are outlets, and like throughout life, we have to find the outlets to work for us. If it's art, if it's writing, if it's for me, it's been martial arts, getting punched in the face and punch people in the face. But that that's my sanctuary. And for us to get past some of the things that are in our past, we have to replace them with positive outlets, um, things that we truly um, aspire to let come out from the inside of us. We all have gifts, and there's so many gifts on the inside that we don't focus on. And then here we are sitting in a puddle of bullcrap that life has handed us. I'm telling you, man, I'm a prime example of walking through, I'll just say it, walking through hell and making it to the other side and looking back and saying, wow, God was there the whole time. And he pulled me through some of the hardest times that I've been through in life and without carrying a negative mindset. Now, this isn't everybody can't do it. I understand that. It is painful. Life sucks. It hurts. I want to blame a lot of
no,
people for,
hold on. Everybody can do it.
yes.
Don't say they can't do it. Everybody can do it. And you ask
Yeah.
anybody, you're telling us about your experience, but you ask anybody that's cured themselves of the victimhood virus, and they will
Yes.
tell you that it is the most difficult journey and you can do it, but you have to have the desire. And sometimes the
Mm.
comforter, in your case, Jesus Christ, in my case, the same thing. Sometimes the comforter is what you need, that spiritual connection, that,
Yes.
that relationship with a higher power, God, if you will. That's what sometimes what you need. And you know what? So what? Be humble. We all need a little help every now and then. So
Lack of
I didn't mean to
empathy.
interject there, but don't.
No,
I never
it was
say
great.
can't. Yeah, I never say can't
Yeah.
because you can,
Yes. You
and
can.
it's not incurable. That's your choice to be angry and mad about somebody that did. If you were to dwell on Charlie Manson and blame every one of your woes on him, you wouldn't have a successful business. You wouldn't have a loving wife. You wouldn't be working with your kids. You wouldn't have a nonprofit. You wouldn't be doing this cool thing and that cool thing. And you wouldn't have a
Yeah.
punching bag to bring kids in
I
to
wouldn't.
change.
Yeah.
So it
Yep.
can be done. And like
I
I said
wouldn't chase.
earlier,
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not chasing where I come from. I'm building where I want to go. And people that know me know that I love taking people with me because relationships are everything, and that's relationships and having men around me, men and women that want to see me be successful. John, is why I was able to come out on the other side.
exactly. Well, you made a decision, and even after you make that decision to make that life transformation to cure yourself of the victimhood virus, the
There you
pathogen
go.
that just eats away at your soul, then,
Yes,
then, then
yes.
you have choices, right? We all make mistakes. Even after I made the choice and the decision to turn my life around and to quit blaming others for my own emotions, I made mistakes. You're going to make that. But you know what? That's just the way it is. And what I finally realized, and you'll come to this point if you're suffering from trauma and you got that what you think is an incurable disease, when you realize that you cannot change the past, you cannot change the past. Whatever happened to you, whatever the reason is that you blame others for your trials and tribulations, it's not going to change. But what changes is the way you react to those feelings. And a good friend of mine who lost his son in Iraq, Chris Hager, um, he told me one time, that I couldn't even comprehend what it would be like to
Hmm,
lose a child.
hmm,
And think of the blame
hmm,
and get blaming on the
hmm.
US government, blaming on this, blaming on that. But what he told me was, John, the triggers are always the same. The event was traumatic. And I want so hard to blame it on somebody. But I realize I can't live my life that way. What happens is it becomes
Powerful.
it becomes different.
Powerful.
It becomes different. And it becomes different because you made the choice to change your life. You might not see it right now. And those first little baby steps might be driving you nuts.
Oh,
But from my
mm-hmm.
own experience, I know that if you have in your heart the desire and the belief in yourself that you can change and you can cure yourself of the victimhood virus, which seems to have taken everybody by storm these days. And that's another,
Oh
we
yeah,
can, why is
it
that
is.
being allowed? We can go into that,
Yeah,
but
we should be standing on our testimonies of how life has either made us change, helped us change, or we got to see it. We got to see the train wreck before it came, so we had a chance to change before life got too out of hand.
yeah. And who likes being infected with a mindset that makes you angry and frustrated? And, think about this. Here's Hebrews 12:7. Love is not always a handout. That's kind of my translation. But here's, endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? So love isn't always a handout. It comes in the form of the blessings, right, that we have every day. That's, you're living,
Yes,
you're breathing, you have a family, you have a job, you have great things happening to you in your life. It makes you a better person, the hardships that come. And so if you're
yes,
traumatized by something, you can either choose to be infected, be angry and frustrated and pissed off at the world the rest of your life, or you can realize that that hardship is there for a reason to teach you something about who you are. You
come
know,
on, so
and
true.
then, we and I'm again we're sharing scriptures, and sometimes scriptures have a way to sear, to purge what's inside.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the first thing I come up with, John, is the word that popped into my head was gratitude. What we're grateful for. It's so easy to think of first five thoughts that come into your head when you first wake up. You know, whatever negative thing that may have trickled in from yesterday, or that major traumatic situation that scarred you from uh, earlier in life. You know, there's so many ways to take gratitude and turn our mindset around.
Yes, exactly. Totally agree with you. You know, and I'm gonna go back to James again. Let's
Yes,
go to James 1, but let's go to verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, right? Whatever it is that happened to you that gave you that disease of victimhood, it's a good thing
yes,
because having
it
stood the
is.
test, the test, that person, the traumatized victim, will receive a crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. What that also means is if we're created in the image of God and we don't love ourselves, which is where the self-forgiveness comes in and the self-love, then we will go through life suffering from that infection. So think about this. When you love yourself and you forgive yourself for what happened to you, wasn't your fault, whatever happened, we can go into detail about a million different traumas,
Yeah,
but it's not your fault. But you can take those feelings, you can take that disease, that test, and you can turn it around and you can become an example to yourself, to your
mhm,
family, to your friends, your relatives, the people around you. They can say, look at that guy or that woman. Look what they went through. And they didn't take it as a ticket, a free pass to blame everybody. They turned it around. They took that negative, angsty, disease filled energy and
exactly.
they turned it into something good. That's how you get out of victimhood. And start educating yourself. I don't care if you take up basket weaving. You know how to work with your hands, you become focused, you're seeking clarity.
Yes,
If you're in advanced stages of victimhood, that disease,
yeah,
just stop. Look in the mirror, walk outside, think about something that you can do to take that disease, that energy into something more positive.
yes.
And if people laugh at you
Mm.
for making baskets, let them laugh. So what? People are going to
If
laugh
it,
at you. People are going
if
to
it gives you,
ridicule you.
yeah, we're all if it gives you peace, seek it out. And if your life seems confusing and you don't have clarity, now I'm just talking from my own lifestyle. mm, I can see that I need to get more organized. I need to be more optimistic. I need to look at life a little bit different when I'm feeling negative. So there's things that I have to use that are around me that are tools to bring me back to reality. And for me, what reality truly is having a relationship with God. Because when that fades, I can grab that victim card real fast.
Absolutely. We were talking about an analogy, a metaphor the other day about the world itself. And imagine yourself, and you might be able to relate to this if those of you who are listening, imagine yourself, you're a soldier in a foxhole, right? You're all by yourself, and all you have is an ammo box with the tools that God gave you in there with you. And you're fighting an enemy out there, guilt, shame, blame, whatever it is. You're suffering from that disease. You're shaking in the foxhole, and you're blaming everything. You're blaming being there on somebody or something else. Well, I got news for you. Jason and I talked about this other day. The Calvary is not coming. And if you understand that, you can look into your ammo box and you can take your skill sets, one of them being a brain, and start
I got
utilizing
it.
it. Pull yourself up, take responsibility. That takes a conscious clarity effort. And then there you go. As you start pulling out basket weaving or orator or whatever it is that you do that you're skilled at, and you start using those to fight the enemy the disease of victimhood, you can slowly pick yourself up, crawl out
Stuck
of
in
that
your own head.
box, crawl the foxhole and you're good to go. Napoleon Bonaparte said that the person who overcomes their infirmities, that's the true victor. And that takes, nobody's going to help you do it. You're going to have to make a decision to do it yourself. And that's what it takes.
I like what you said, John. It's, when you're in that foxhole and you do have all the tools you need to fight back, there isn't time. You don't have time to think, go into your head and think and get stuck. There's times I still do it, but I know I have to move forward because that's how we're going to advance our lives. If we stay holding on to what was there, what we still think is there because we hold it up here, we're going to carry that victim mindset maybe till the day we die.
Yeah, and it's a horrible place to be. So, stop being frustrated, stop being angry, stop blaming, stop doing outrageously stupid things to deal with the pain that you've been through, whatever trauma it is. Take the responsibility. Do something and focus on something that's more positive, like you mentioned earlier. Start saying no to these feelings. No anger, no frustration.
Yes. Speak to it.
No more blame.
Speak to it. Yes.
Be gone, and then educate yourself about compassion and about love, and stick your nose in the scriptures. What is it? John 5:39. Search the scriptures. There's some real solace there. Maybe you weren't raised in a household with a firm foundation in the spiritual sense, but you know what? That doesn't mean that you can't develop that in your own life. So
time and effort.
Time and effort and perseverance. Covet the good gifts, perseverance and long suffering.
Yes.
What does that mean? And be responsible. Nothing is more demoralizing, or nothing can be more demoralizing in not dealing with your own problems and trying to blame them on somebody else. When you finally get that and that switch goes off, I can assure you your life will change. Think about that, Jason. And those of you who are still listening, saying, blah, 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 what are these guys talking about? The reality is the truth.
Shall set you free.
We'll talk to you next time. We're going to talk about a good one. We're going to talk about the role of a woman. And there are, it's changed a lot. And I know that sparks a lot of fires, but thank you for tuning in. We're grateful. Visit Jason's website, jasonfreebirdfreeman.com. Look at Decide to Fight. If you want to turn your life around, you can fight it out. Mine's johntkrotec.com. And there's HEARTSCRIBES. Maybe you want to write it out. Whether you fight or you write, both programs can help. Thank you for listening. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Redemption Podcast Show. We hope you got some wisdom out of it. Don't forget, the truth
shall set you free.